Yeah, Coco.
Hi, welcome to my eclectic channel. My name is Agnès and I make videos for fun. We've been working on one of those little numbers. So after a lot of patching and even a bit of mending, I was able to get the shoulder to work out, and I've turned my entire vest inside out. This was the shoulder that I turned first, and it was the wider one. It's 3.5 centimeters seam to seam, and this one was less, and it was a problem for two reasons, for reasons that I explained. So I had to add fabric, like I did not have enough seam allowance to redo my seams wider apart. So I actually had to physically add fabric. So I had to undo all of the seams around the shoulder seam and patch it. So this is what we have. There's a seam here and there's a seam here very close to the edge. I'm the only one who's going to know that's there, even though it's in the front of the vest. It's really not very noticeable. In the back, let's see what we have going on. Oh, we have another one in the back as well because I had to patch both. So this is in the back. There's this seam. The alternative was to just redo it. I had to redo the entire front here and redo the pocket all anew, like start over, which was not in the cards. So right now it's a little sorry looking. I'm having a hard time picturing the finished product. It doesn't look good. But what I need to do is to push out my points better. I did this one, but I got to push out every point that I have, make it nice and crisp. And then press all along everywhere so that I get those sharp edges. Once it's nice and pressed, we'll have to deal with the side seams, which are still completely open and undone. The vest has been turned right side out, and then I've pressed all of the seams. The next step is to close the sides, because so far our vest is not fully assembled. So that step is kind of neat. The first thing you want to do is to grab the lining and put a pin. Just attach these two together. And then reach through the back. So you go to the other side, to the back of the vest, where you have this side opening at the side seam. Reach in, and you can say hello on the other side. And then you want to grab all 4 layers of that other side seam and pull it through. And now it's a mess. But we put a pin in there, so it'll be fine. Alright, so straighten this out. See, this is where I put my pin. And make it so that you can have your side seam straight. So this is my side seam, turned inside out again. And we have a circle, right? Now on one side there is the lining, that's together, and then on the other side of the circle we've got the shell, the fashion fabric. And what we want to do, this is my welt pocket, ignore that. What you want to do is to stitch all around this circle. So you'll be attaching the two pieces of the lining together and then come around and do the 2 sides of the shell. For the first side seam, we'll do something similar with the other side. So for this one it doesn't matter, but for the other one it will. So it's good to train yourself right now. It's a circle. You get to start anywhere you want. Well, start on the lining side. And I'll tell you the reason right now is because when we do the other side, there will be some ugliness going on around the part where you start your stitching. So you want that ugliness to be inside the vest, not showing on the outside. So start on the lining under the armhole and stitch all the way around that circle. And I don't know if I need to say this, but when you're pinning, make sure you're lining up the seams, the one under the arm and the seam that's at the bottom of the vest. Now our side seam is complete, and it's time to turn this right side out again. So same deal, through the back of the vest and turn it back right sides out. And this is what the side seam is looking like now. I will have to press this, which I will do once I do the other side. For the other side, here's how it's going to work. We're also going to stitch that in the round, but we don't have the luxury of turning it inside out because it's sealed on the other side, and so we won't be able to work in a circle nicely. It won't happen this way. So what you want to do is to take the lining, the two sides of the lining, and pin them. We're going to start our stitching right under the armpit, and we're going to attach the lining. So we're going to start stitching there, attaching the lining together, and then continue, keep going, and at that point it will get you to stitching the right sides of the vest. Keep going, and eventually you'll be stuck. You'll get stuck, you won't be able to go any further. At that point, stop the stitching, cut the thread. So you want to start by pinning the lining and start about an inch below the underarm seam. And then which way you go really matters. So place that first pin an inch below the armhole seam, and then pin working your way towards the armhole seam, so that pretty soon you'll be on the fashion fabric. And think about, and that's how you're going to feed that through your machine. So put your pins accordingly. If you're a vertical pinner, it does not matter, but I like to do horizontal pins, so I always have to think about which way my pins are facing, so that as I feed that through my machine, I can easily take them out. So this is correct. So my second pin goes at the seam, the underarm seam, and now I'm on my fashion fabric. So keep going until you can no longer go. So as you pin, you will find that you are pulling out some of the vest through this opening, and as you're pinning, the opening gets smaller and smaller, so eventually you'll have to stop pinning. I'm going to take this to my machine, start stitching right where I put my last pin, and then work my way around. So I've set this on this machine starting at the first pin that I put in, and I can tell that this is going to be a joy to stitch. Alright, I went as far as I could with my machine. Looks like a mess. Let's pull this right side out, so everything that's sticking out from my hole, put it back in. And this is how I finished my side seam, and I have a gap here. And that one you have no other choice than closing it by hand. So you can hand stitch for a really neat finish, or else you can kind of fold it best you can, close it up, and you can top stitch. I am going to top stitch this. This is what the side seams look like on the lining side. This is the one we did first, and this is the one we did second. And despite my best efforts, you can see how we have all of this. This is all top stitch. I had to, in the end, I had to leave quite a large opening. It's half the length of the side seam. And this is what it looks like on the outside. On the outside, it's really neat. As a next to final step, I am top stitching all of the edges on my vest. That includes around the neck, down the front, to the back, and then the two armholes. I'm saying that's next to last step because I still haven't put the buttons on. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more.